Ba? Anyone? Pwede bang react na lang? Kumusta ba kayo? Oh my, sila Hershey. Bakit, bakit ano? Yan na lang ang feeling. Alright? So, allow me to share my screen. And this is an overview. It's called Organization of the Nervous System because it's an overview of the whole neuroanatomy. So, allow me to guide you. There will be, I was mentioning this yesterday, there will be a sort of in the middle of everything. Uh, we'll have a face-to-face, parang consolidation siya. So that you have a better understanding because it's actually hard to just picture neuroanatomy. Okay? So, alright. So, can you see my slides? Yes? Can I have a signal?
Yes po, Doc.
Kaya, sige. As you notice, and I am asking permission, I'm actually recording this meeting. Is that okay with everyone? Alright. I'm recording this to actually help you consolidate later. Okay? Kasi baka yung mga brain cells nyo, since neuroanatomy to, ano pa, medyo kailangan pa ng pahinga. Alright? But I hope you will be able to participate as we go through the discussion because that's the only way to really learn. At the end of this lecture, you, the learners, will be able to recognize the component parts and divisions of the nervous system and utilize this knowledge in explaining patients' manifestations. That's why this is given at the start of neuroanatomy. Because the terms that will be used in tracing the pathways later will be based somehow on this lecture. So yung nomenclature, lahat kailangan maintindihan through this lecture. Okay. So anatomically, so there are two divisions. There's an anatomical division and a functional division. Uh, And when you talk about anatomical division, the whole nervous system is actually divided into central and peripheral. So the central nervous system is made up of the brain and the spinal cord. So anything outside of the brain and the spinal cord is peripheral. So basta brain, part ng spinal cord, that's central nervous system. But if it's not part of these two, then it's peripheral. So what are the parts of the peripheral nervous system? The cranial nerves. While it's part of the brain, later you realize the nucleus, the nuclei of the cranial nerves are within the brain. But still, they're part of the peripheral nervous system. So from the spinal cord arises the spinal nerves. But the spinal nerves are part not of the central nervous system, but the peripheral nervous system. And they're associated ganglia. So, like for example, cranial nerve 3 is associated, the oculomotor nerve is associated with a ganglion. So yung cranial nerve, while its nuclei is on the brain, its ganglion, which is near, is still part of the peripheral nervous system. So please be clear. Yung brain and its parts, part of the central nervous system. But if it's but the even the cranial nerves, even when it's within the brain, it's not part of the central nervous system. It's part of the peripheral. So yun lang. Just remember, brain and spinal cord central. Anything outside of it, peripheral. And then this one. So this is the brain. This is the spinal cord. So this is just ito lang. This one and everything here and this one is part of the central nervous system. All of this outside, wala na. That's peripheral nervous system. So if you're asked, median nerve, uh, Ulnar nerve, that's peripheral. Di ba? Yung naaral yung mga nerves. For example, recurrent laryngeal nerve. That's part of the peripheral nervous system. So, what makes neuroanatomy challenging is because it seems to be the integration of everything that you've studied from the first system to the last system that you've studied. Okay? So, for example, the hypogastric nerve, peripheral yun. Kasi it's the nerve supplying that particular part. Okay. How about the autonomic nervous system? Fight or flight. Remember sympathetic, parasympathetic. Based on what you do every day. Diba? You eat. You look at something. Is that sympathetic or parasympathetic? Anyone? There is no right or wrong. Just try. Huwag nyo i-search. Kasi sanay tayo mag-search sa AI. Huwag nyo i-search. Just think of it. Everything that you do. Say for example, the digestion of food. Just look at this. Is it parasympathetic or sympathetic? So if
Parasympathetic.
very good. You know, things that you do almost every day is parasympathetic. You urinate or that's parasympathetic. Diba? You eat, that's parasympathetic. So it seems that everything that you do every day, everything that happens to your body almost every day is parasympathetic. But why is it that when there's fire, that's why it's called fight or flight system. Why is it that when there's fire, napupuhat yung ref, you're able to carry the refrigerator, you're able to carry anything which is something heavy. That's the other part of the autonomic nervous system. That's a sympathetic. That's why it's called fight or flight. But when there's too much sympathetic, it's why some will die of heart attack. Let's see. Which of the following, I would inject things like this so you can integrate. Which of the following bodily functions is our sympathetic and parasympathetic? The first one I already mentioned. Urination. Is it sympa or para? Huh. Anyone, you can actually put it on the chat box so that you can keep yourself awake. Because these are the type of questions that you'll expect later. And you know what? These are the type of questions. Ganito na yung questions in the recent licensure. It's not direct. Say, for example, something happened, there's a long stem. What happened to the patient? Is it sympathetic or parasympathetic? Okay. See. Yes, urination is parasympathetic. Again, my best guide is it happens every day. How about erection? Oh, baka naman mas sumagot pa yung female kaysa sa male. Does it happen every day? Di ba? Do you get the morning rise? Di ba? Pagising niyo sa umaga, the males. What is erection? Sympathetic or parasympathetic? Hindi na tuloy sumagot yung mga females. Okay? What? Yes, that's correct. Erection happens every day. It should. Pag hindi nangyari yan sa umaga, there is something wrong. Tama ba ako, Greg? It's worrisome. Kung diabetic yung patient, the angle of erection decreases each time. So erection is parasympathetic. How about ejaculation? Even if it happens every day, what is ejaculation? Sympathetic or parasympathetic? Very good. That is sympathetic. Why? What happens during ejaculation? The heart rate would increase, Diba? The heart rate, since the heart rate increases, the cardiac output will increase. Kaya alam niyo, may mga inaatake sa puso while this is happening. Pero sabi nga nila, at least masaya ka when this happens. Diba? Next, swallowing. Is it sympathetic or parasympathetic? Swallowing. Is parasympathetic. Very good. Okay. Allow me to proceed. So these are important terminologies in neuroanatomy. So if you look at this, it's again divided into two. CNS, central nervous system, and PNS, peripheral nervous system. Okay. Now, look, the cell bodies, you studied this in histology. These were the first few lectures in histology. The cell bodies in the central nervous system. Okay. This is the spinal cord. The cell bodies within here, they're called nuclei. Okay. So when you call it, when the term is nuclei or nucleus, it is, these are collection of cell bodies within the central nervous system. But when these are collections of cell bodies in the peripheral nervous system, you call them ganglia. If it's plural, if it's singular, it's ganglion. Okay? So, collection of cell bodies within the central nervous system nuclei. Outside of it, it's called ganglia. Now, if you have cell bodies, you have nerve fibers. Okay? So, you call the collection or the bundles of nerve fibers within the central nervous system, you call them tracts. When it's in the peripheral nervous system, a collection of nerve fibers, you call them nerves. So let me give some examples. If it's the pyramidal tract, say for example, you call the tract cortico, from the cortex, the brain, spinal, so it ends up in the spinal cord. Cortico-spinal. O di ba? Cortex, that's within the brain. Spinal cord. You call that a tract. But if it's the median nerve, kaya nga nerve ang tawag. Part of the brachial plexus kasi collection siya ng nerves. It's called the brachial plexus. So pag binigyan kayo ng pangalan ng nerve, it means that these are bundle of nerve fibers outside of the central nervous system or within the peripheral nervous system. Now, you have encountered these terms. Okay? For the impulses to be conducted from one cell body to another, then you need to produce myelin. And if the myelin is provided by the cells within the central nervous system, you call them oligodendrocytes. If it's outside the central nervous system, outside of the brain and the spinal cord, you call them Schwann cells. Alright. Now, this you will have to know because this may be clinical, but this is neuroanatomy. So, you cannot study neuroanatomy if you don't integrate it with neurophysiology, okay, and even the biochemical processes. Alright. Distinguish first between these two because this will be commonly used. What is paresis and what is paralysis? Paresis is simply weakness. Okay. And paralysis is total loss of capacity. Okay. I'll give you an example. If the patient, have you seen patients suffering from a stroke? Yung na-stroke na patient, nakakita na ba kayo? Yes. I'm sure most of you have seen that uh, within the family or even outside the family. Okay. A patient who suffered from the stroke may suffer from weakness to paralysis. Okay. Initially, yung iba kung hindi malaki yung coverage ng stroke, hindi mo lang masyado magalaw. So it's just partial loss of capacity to carry out a voluntary movement. So that's just weakness, it's paresis. And it would depend on the area of the brain that's involved. But if you cannot totally move the limb, that is paralysis. You are paralyzed. Okay? So that is the distinction of the two. Paresis, weakness, is partial loss. But paralysis is total loss of the capacity to move the limb. So let us now uh, study the other terms. Algesia means pain or sensitivity. So if there's pain, remember your analgesics. You try to remove the pain with those medications, the analgesics, like what? Paracetamol or the other pain relievers. That's why you call them not just anti-inflammatory medications, but they're also called analgesics. You remove the pain because when you say pain, that's algesia. On the other hand, you call the feeling or the sensation aesthesia. That's why when you administer anesthesia, you remove the feeling. Diba? Kaya that's why it's scary for the patient because you remove any sensation or feeling in the area for you to be able to operate. So when you give an anesthetic drug, more often it is both an anesthesia and an analgesia. Why? Kasi tanggal yung pain, tanggal yung feeling. Okay. And next is this one. So I already explained paresis and of course, plegia. Plegia is another term for paralysis and paresis is another term for weakness. That's why when you say hemiparesis, it means that half of the body or half of that area is weak. When you say hemiplegia, it means that half of the body or half of that area is paralyzed. Okay. Next is speech. How do you call speech in neuroanatomy? That's fascia. So when you say the patient is aphasic, it means that somehow speech is affected. Ang hindi mo na lang alam kung speech in relation to comprehension or in relation to simply saying or uttering the speech. Next is taxia. Taxia is a term for muscle coordination. So when you see there's lack of muscle coordination, just like in patients with Parkinson's disease, then you see some level of ataxia. Di ba yung parang elderly patient, tapos nakikita mo hindi fine yung movement. Okay. Somehow you see ataxic movement. So taxia is a term for muscle coordination. Yan. These are the cranial nerves. This is the base of the brain. Pag binaliktad mo yung brain, di ba yung top yung naka-side view? Pag binaliktad mo, you see this area. Alright. And these are the cranial nerves. Ayan, yung yellow. If you look at this, di ba it's within the brain? But these cranial nerves are not part of the central nervous system. They're part of the peripheral nervous system. Why? Because these are already their point of exit from the brain. That's why they're part of the peripheral nervous system. Now, there are many ways to remember this. But you know the wonders of it all? The number of the cranial nerve is, they're actually numbered based on their location. Kaya ito yung 1, ito yung 2, ito yung 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6 and 7, ito yung, ito yung 6, this is 7 and 8, the best friend. Diba? This is 9, this is 10, this is, excuse me, this is 11, and this is 12. This is 11, and this is 12. So they're numbered accordingly as to how you see them. But you know what? More importantly is their location. Because it's not very rare that you are given a case. And do not be overwhelmed that you are given a CT scan finding. You are actually given, you are actually just asked to remember their location. Okay. Later on, you'd realize that this is the right and the left hemisphere of the brain. And this is there is a space in between. It's called interhemispheric fissure. Okay. If it's a big space, you usually call it fissure. Beside it, this is the olfactory tract. This is the olfactory bulb. This is cranial nerve 1. Okay. I am just giving you a sample. This is the pons. Okay? This is the pons. This is the medulla. There is, pag nearer the head, I was the one who taught you anatomical terms. Diba? If it's nearer the top, that's what? Superior. If it's nearer the base, that's inferior. If it's going to the top, in terms of neuroanatomy, that's rostral. If it's on the base part, that's caudal. Malapit sa buntot. Diba? So if this is the pons, and if it's on the right or left side, that's lateral. So if we apply it to the pons, this is rostral or superior or upper. This is caudal, itong part na to. Or inferior. And this is lateral. So if you are asked, what is that cranial nerve in the middle of the rostral pons or the upper pons? That's cranial nerve 3. If it's the cranial nerve in the middle of the caudal or inferior pons, that is cranial nerve 6. Diba ang ganda ng pagkatapat? 3 dun sa taas, 6 dito. And if it's on the lateral side, the big nerve on the lateral side of the pons or on the lateral pons, that's cranial nerve 5. It's a very big nerve because it's both sensory and motor. Now, the only nerve arising from the back, only cranial nerve arising from the posterior side of the brain, that is cranial nerve 4. I am just giving you a run through because this lecture is an overview. Okay? So, while it's important to know the name, it's important to know the number because it can always be asked either way. You can be asked on the name of the nerve or the number of the cranial nerve. That's why this is a mnemonic. And it's very popular in a lot of books. It can be from general patronage to rated R. Yeah. So, cranial nerve 1 to cranial nerve 12. And it's memorized as OOO to touch and feel. Very good velvet, such heaven. Pero may rated R nito. Hindi ko na sasabihin. OOO to touch and feel, basta. Yun, pareho ng simula, pero yung dulo, Hindi. But this is a mnemonic. But you know what? Yung mga graduates, pagdating sa boards, hindi maalala yung memorize kasi ng O, O, O. Eh yung sequence ng O, yung first yung olfactory, yung second yung optic, yung third yung oculomotor. Okay? Ha? Kasi O, O, O ng O, hindi naman maalala kung ang nauna yung optic, yung olfactory, or yung oculomotor. Alright? And then, eventually, in the lecture of Doc Mel, you will have, pakantahin niyo si Doc Mel. Ah, kasi this is sung. This mnemonic can be, you can actually sing this. Oo. Wag na ako. Baka mawalan kayo ng, ano to, masira ang morning ninyo. Okay. But this is another way to memorize whether the cranial nerve is sensory, is only motor, or both. Okay? And this mnemonic is, some say merry money, but my brother says big brains matter more. So S is for purely sensory, M is for motor, B is for both sensory and motor. Okay? So it's very important in neuro that you actually understand and apply this to whatever it is that you have studied already. Okay, let's integrate. Tapos na kayo eh, di ba? So, tignan natin. Name that cranial nerve. Okay. Kung nasa LCUP tayo, meron tayong coffee. Later, in my next lecture, ano bang ipapaprice natin? Ano, Gcash, gano'n. Equivalent dun sa coffee. Name the cranial nerve that supplies, that innervates the posterior one-third of the tongue. That's why I was telling you, this is already integration. Diba? Anong naalala nyo? Cranial nerve, ano? Ay, ano daw yung rated R? Later na, Greg. Sasabihin ko sa'yo. You can actually search for it. What is the cranial nerve that innervates the posterior one-third of the tongue? Remember, dinivide yung tongue into anterior two-thirds and posterior one-third. Tapos, depende kung general sensation or taste. Pero yung posterior one-third, iisang nerve yung nag-i-innervate ng general sensation. Kung cold ba yung na-feel nung tongue or hot, or kung sour, kasi pareho siya sa taste. Anong cranial nerve? Huwag yung i-search. Kung ano yung naaalala nyo. Wow! That's right. That's cranial nerve 9. Glossopharyngeal nerve. Kasi yung anterior two-thirds, depende kung taste or general sensation. Diba? Kung cranial nerve 7 ba? Or cranial nerve 5. Yan. So this is the time to integrate. What nerve innervates naman the lateral rectus? Anong mnemonic dyan? LR6, SO4. Alala nyo ba? Ano yung LR? So LR6, SO4. Yes. The lateral rectus is innervated by cranial nerve 6. Diba? Parang final exam na ba, no? Pero that is really neuroanatomy. What nerve innervates the muscles of facial expression? What cranial nerve? May facial na nga. Oh, facial nerve. Diba? May exception lang. Yes, very good. Muscle yun. The actual muscle. Pero yung sensory, the sensation of the face is different. What nerve innervates the sternocleidomastoid muscle? That's why you can do shoulder shrug. Diba? Okay. What nerve? Cranial nerve. 11. Yes. Very good. So these are samples to integrate. So you already know that if you are going to have a quiz, then these are sample questions as well. Okay? Now, this is the spinal nerve. How are the spinal nerves formed? Look at this. This is the spinal cord. I will orient you this early. This is the spinal cord. It's important to know which one is anterior and which one is posterior. Not just memorize. You know that this is the anterior part because you see a very deep median sulcus. Ito yon. The anteromedian sulcus is deep. That's why you know that this is anterior. You know that this is posterior. This is because it's very shallow. Okay. How are spinal nerves formed? It would arise from, look, from the dorsal root ganglion, coming from the dorsal horn. Kasi di ba, dorsal is also a term for posterior. Ventral is also a term for anterior. So look, dorsal horn will arise the dorsal root ganglion. Remember, a ganglion is outside the central nervous system. In this case, outside the spinal cord. So from the dorsal root will arise the dorsal ramus. Pag plural, rami. So yan. And in the same manner, the ventral ramus will arise from what? From the ventral root. And the dorsal and ventral rami will form the spinal nerve. So galing sa dorsal and ventral rami. Galing sa anterior and posterior rami. And will arise the spinal nerve, which are numbered accordingly. Look, how many spinal nerves do you have? Sige, put it on the chat box. How many spinal nerves do you have? Because that is not a rare question. It's a common question, but there's a lot of doctors committing mistakes on this. How many nerves do you have? Spinal nerves do you have? What is the right answer to this? You can put it on the chat box. Nakikita nyo na nga halos yung sagot. How many? Very good. It's 62. Because we have 31 pairs. So pag count ang tanong, it's 62. Because one on each side. But how many pairs of spinal nerves do you have? Then that is 31. Okay? You know when this was asked in one of the licensure exam, this was asked 5 times. And ang daming pumili ng 31. Diba? Eh, ang dali na sana, no? Count lang. In the same manner, how many cranial nerves do you have? The answer is a count. Diba? You have 24. How many pairs do you have? 12. Okay? So I hope that is clear. So for the spinal nerve, you have 31 pairs. You have 8 cervical. You have 12 thoracic. You have 5 lumbar. You have 5 sacral. And 1 coccygeal. So 8 pairs of cervical spinal nerves, 12 pairs of thoracic, 5 pairs of lumbar, 5 pairs of sacral, and 1 coccygeal. And the most common question is, how many cervical vertebra do you have? Ito wala lang pair. Vertebra yan. It means that this is the bone. This is the vertebral column. How many cervical vertebra do you have? Because it's the most common point of error. Ilan ba ang cervical vertebra? Yes, very good. You have 7. Pero tignan nyo ha, you have 8 pairs of cervical spinal nerves. So look at this principle because it's a common question as well. the cervical spinal nerve, C1 to C8, will exit above their corresponding vertebra, while the thoracic, lumbar, and sacral spinal nerves will exit below their corresponding vertebra. So it means that C1, C1 spinal nerve will exit above C1 vertebra. Tingnan nyo ito. C1 vertebra ito. Yung C1 spinal nerve will exit above it. But remember, I asked you the principle. E paano yung C8? Kasi yung C7 spinal nerve will exit above, okay? Above C7 vertebra. Paano si C8? Anyone? Wala namang corresponding vertebra si C8. Or will it exit? It will exit below or above what vertebra? You can put it on the chat box. What vertebra? Very good. Below C7 and above T1. Pareho yun ang ibig sabihin. Kasi, wala siyang corresponding vertebra. So, it will exit below C7. But more commonly in the books, it exits below C7. Okay. But practically, it's above T1 also. Why? Because T1 spinal nerve will exit below T1 vertebra. And so on and so. Okay? Next. Or you tell me where this will exit. L2 spinal nerve will exit where? Below or above? Hindi nga. Practice tayo. Para hindi tayo puro route memorization. Because that's neuroanatomy. Very good. That's below L2. Kasi thoracic hanggang sacral. Diba? Okay. How about C8? You actually answered this. Below C7. Or actually above T1. How about C3 spinal nerve? How about C3? Where will it exit? Very good. About C3 vertebra. But please take note. Usually in the choices, okay? You know, nag-i-interchange yung C3, spinal nerve, sa vertebra. So, just remember the general principle. Now, we go to the supporting cells of the nervous system. This is actually not new to you because we have discussed this in histology. These are the supporting cells. Okay, you know that the oligodendrocytes, they produce the myelin. And then, the astrocytes are also supporting cells of the central nervous system. But if there's this is very unique to the spinal cord. The one that, here, the cells that line up the central canal of the spinal cord, you call them your ependymal cells. Okay? So, in histology of the nervous system, when you see a cut portion of the spinal cord, and you know that that is the central canal of the cord, 100% batting average, they will be trying to point out the ependymal cells. Diba? Minsan hindi ka na mag-isip. Identify pointed cell. Tapos hindi pala tanungin, no? Identify pointed cell. Tapos you know that that is the central canal of the spinal cord. You're trying to point on the ependymal cells. Now, how about the macrophages of the nervous system? That is your microglia. By now, what do you call? I hope this was asked and I hope you remember. What do you call? What is the name of the macrophages of the placenta? Ha? Ano yung macrophages ng placenta? It starts with a proper name and it starts with, it's a proper name and it starts with an H. Naalala nyo ba? This is a common question in the licensure and in the final exam. Why? Because you have to know the macrophages in the different system of the body. When it comes to the nervous system, especially the central nervous system, you call them your microglia. So in the placenta, you call them Hofbauer cells. Do you remember what the macrophages of the skin are called? Huh? What do you call them? Hmm? Saan yung Langerhans cell? Yan. I'm just trying to make you remember. Somehow you're preparing for the final exam and the integration. Because that's, you'd see that the days are passing by and somehow when you study and integrate in neuroanatomy, you're more or less preparing for your final exams. Now, you call the myelin producing cells in the peripheral nervous system your Schwann cells. And another supporting cells is your satellite cell. Now, collectively, the oligodendrocytes and your astrocytes all together, they're called your macroglia. Okay? It's a collective term for these two. Okay, I will have a separate lecture on this, the gross anatomy of the brain and the spinal cord. But suffice for you to know all the sides of the brain and the spinal cord. Okay? This is the dorsolateral surface. Okay. Itong part na to ng brain, pag nakita nyo, nasa tabi, lateral surface. And you call this the dorsolateral surface of the brain. When you cut through this, cut through the corpus callosum or the interhemispheric fissure, then you'd expose this. Okay, this is the medial side of the brain. Okay? This is the cerebrum. This is the cerebellum. Sabi nila, big brain, mini brain. Totally different function for this one and this one. Okay? These are higher centers. These are centers for that actually regulate movement, that helps regulate the movement. Yung cerebellum, kaya it's more for balance and for gait. So this cannot really be called the mini brain. But for the lay, kasi ito mas malaki, ito mas maliit, that's why it's called the mini brain. Okay? So this is the brain, this is the cerebrum, this is the cerebellum. Okay? And this one is the hindbrain, embryologically, and it is divided into your pons and your medulla. And I just want to inform you that these are the terms used embryologically on how the brain and its part develop and where it arises from. Yeah. Okay. Later, this will be a separate lecture on the development of the brain. Now, you'd also have lectures on the coverings of the brain, but it is not very rare. You are given a case that there is a mass seen on the supratentorial portion of the brain. That's why you have to know this. There is a division where you call these parts supratentorial and this one your infratentorial. Why? Because there seems to be a tent covering the cerebellum. Diba? Ito yung cerebellum. This is the pons. This is the medulla. Okay. That's a general feature of the brain. Now, look, there is a covering there. It's called your tentorium cerebelli. So if these are parts of the central nervous system or the brain above the tentorium cerebelli, you call them supratentorial. And below the tentorium cerebelli, infratentorial. So it means that if you're given a case, the patient had, say for example, weakness, and there is a mass, okay, a mass located on the precentral gyrus, this one. Just accept that for now. This is the central sulcus of Rolando, central sulcus, and the gyrus before it is called precentral. Say you are given a case where there's a mass na nandito sa area na to. And then you are simply asked, is the mass supratentorial or infratentorial? Knowing this, the mass is supratentorial. Diba? In contrast to, if there's a mass at the area of the pons, then the mass is located infratentorial. Alright? So I hope you understand that. So if you are given a case as part of your exam, and then guide na yon. Sabi, supratentorial. Ay, nandito yon. So pag kayo sasagot ng pons, you have to be able to eliminate the choices of the cerebellum or any part in the cerebellum, any part in the pons, and any part in the medulla. Because the stem of the question is supratentorial. Okay? So you will be able to eliminate some choices. Alright. Now, how about the brain lobes? Okay. This is a common question as well. This is the central sulcus of Rolando. This one. It's called central sulcus. It's called Rolandic sulcus. It's called central sulcus of Rolando. Okay, those are possible name for this. Just take a look at this. This is the frontal lobe. And the frontal lobe covers all the gyri. That's from That's from the frontal part of the brain to that gyrus before the sulcus of Rolando or Rolandic sulcus. So it means that when you say frontal lobe, it means that these are the following. Hanggang dito kaya pink. That's why you remember the picture, you remember everything. And this is true for all brains that you see. Look at the gyri that comprises the frontal lobe. They would be directed obliquely. Naka-oblique yung lahat ng gyrus. And then it will bump into a vertical gyrus. This is your pre-central gyrus. And these are all part of the frontal lobe. Okay? So for any brain that you see, you'd see that these are all running obliquely. And it will bump into a vertical gyrus. And that is your precentral. And that comprises your whole frontal lobe. Now, all the gyrus or all the gyri or parts of the brain after the central sulcus of Rolando to the parieto-occipital sulcus, that is, and above the lateral sulcus of Sylvius. Ito na naman, sylvian fissure, lateral sulcus, those are used interchangeably. Or the lateral sylvian fissure. Yeah, so after the central sulcus, above the lateral sulcus, and before the parieto-occipital sulcus, that's the parietal lobe. Okay? And of course, below the parieto-occipital sulcus, that is your occipital lobe. And below the lateral sulcus, that is your temporal lobe. So those are the lobes that you see on the dorsolateral surface of the brain. But of course, these lobes have extensions on the medial surface of the brain. Now, there is a special lobe. Look on the medial surface of the brain. Look at this. This is your corpus callosum. So when you cut through the interhemispheric fissure, yung sa gitna, yung right and left side, when you cut through that, you will be able to expose this. This is the corpus callosum. And there is a lobe above it. This one. It's the limbic lobe. And highly responsible for emotions. Yung mga hunger centers, nasa limbic lobe din. Kaya pag gutom kayo, that's, the brain is signaled to the limbic lobe. Alright. And in neuroanatomy, you say what? I love you from the bottom of my hypothalamus and the limbic area of my brain. Because it's the seat of emotion. Diba? Any questions so far? You have any questions? Wala pa so far? Okay, sige. Feel free to put it on the chat box if you have any questions. Next is on Brodmann areas. Okay. So, just like the division of anatomical and functional, you have the one that I described initially are the gross anatomical fissures, gross anatomical lobes or divisions. Now, there are functional areas of the brain, and you call them Brodmann area. Okay. That's why, if there is a problem in speech, alam nyo kung nasaan. Ano kaya? Saan area kaya possible? If there's a weakness on this part of the body, more or less what is involved? Because Brodmann actually mapped this to come up with the Brodmann areas. How? Look at this. Masabi ko sa inyo, running obliquely lahat. Tapos, bumping into a vertical gyrus, that's the precentral gyrus. Kaya kahit balu-baluktot yan, kahit pangit, kahit maraming convolutions yung brain, ang importante, malocate nyo yung yung central sulcus. Kahit minsan hindi masyadong obvious. Kasi bakit? Oblique gyri bumping into a vertical gyrus. Diba? This is the frontal lobe. Kaya pagkatapos nun, central sulcus. Okay. So, what is your primary motor cortex? That is your precentral gyrus. Sorry, this one. This is your primary motor cortex. That is your precentral gyrus. That is Brodmann area 4. Okay. Now, what is your primary sensory cortex? That is Brodmann area 312. Doc, hindi lang ba siya marunong magbilang? 312. Okay, bakit Brodmann area 312? The primary somesthetic or sensory cortex. This is your post-central gyrus. Bakit kaya? Because the initial area that he was able to map was area 1. Tapos na-map niya yung area 2. So, sensory pa din ang affected kapag tinitrigger yon. Then, sinek yung Brodmann area 3. And then he came up with broadband area 312, only to find out that this whole area is responsible for sensory. Kaya broadband area 312. Hindi dahil hindi siya marunong magbilang. Okay? Because when he was mapping the area, he ended up that the whole area is responsible for sensation. Kaya broadband area 312. That's the primary sensory cortex, and this whole area is your post-central gyrus. Now, when you have a problem somehow, ang lumalaki yung visual, yung blind spot mo. You'd realize, no? You'd realize when you're looking straight, merong area sa right and left side na kahit mag-wave, hindi mo na makikita. That is your blind spot. Okay? And the primary area of vision is what? This one, your Brodmann area 17 or your Calcarine area. Later on, you'd see na parang meron ditong fissure. Tapos, pag nakasara yung lips nyo, ganun yung itsura niya. That's why it's called the lips of the calcarine fissure. But this whole area is your calcarine area, Brodmann area 17, or your primary visual cortex. Okay. You will discuss eventually a lot of areas, but I am giving you the essential ones. Now, how about when a patient suffered from a stroke, just like my father, and has problems with speech? Paano mo malalaman if the affected area is the one responsible for producing the speech or the one responsible for understanding, which is affected? Say, for example, yung pasyente, tinatanong nyo, what is your name? Ano pong pangalan ninyo? Tapos ang sagot niya, doon. Doon sa Santa Ana. Ganon, yung sagot. So, ang iisipin mo, naintindihan ba niya yung question ko? Pero nasabi niya, di ba? Maganda yung speech. So, walang problem with the production of the speech. But the problem is on the understanding of the question. Right? Alam nyo, nag-suffer siya from stroke. So, ano kayang part of the brain is affected? In contrast to, you ask a question. What is your name? Tapos ganito siya, di ba, nagsa-stutter. Paano nyo malalaman kung naintindihan niya yung question? Or talagang may problem sa production lang ng speech? You ask the patient to write. Di ba? To write his or her name. To write their name on a sheet of paper. Pag naisulat na yung pangalan niya, ang problem lang is the production of speech. Why am I saying this? If the problem is on the production of the speech, the motor part of the speech, then the concern is on Brodmann area 44, 45. And this is, sabi ko sa inyo kanina, oblique yung frontal gyri. Okay. Let me go back a little. Ito yon. Ito yung mga frontal gyri. If you look at the location, oblique, this is superior, this is inferior. So this is superior frontal gyrus, this is inferior frontal gyrus. E din, nasa gitna yung isa. E di middle frontal gyrus. And they're all running obliquely. The area for the motor speech, for the motor part of the speech, is Brodmann area 44, 45, located in the inferior frontal gyri. Okay? That's also called Broca's area. Now, how about, just like my father, on the comprehension part. The involved area is on comprehension, but it's also the area for the connection of what you heard. That is the auditory association area. So, pag may narinig kayo, merong part of the brain na nagpa-process nung narinig nyo. Okay? And that is Broadband area 22, and that is your Wernicke's area. Wernicke's, W in German is, you know, pronounced as V. The Wernicke's area, and that is your temporal gyrus. That is Broadband area 22. It's part of your superior temporal gyrus. Okay? So, when you're asked in the practical exam, this area is pinned. Say, for example, this one. What is the functional area of the pinned? What is the function of the pinned area or the pinned gyrus? Then the answer is what? Primary motor speech area or motor speech area. Don't answer Broca's area. Okay? This one. Give the function of the pinned gyrus or pointed gyrus. That is your primary motor cortex. Okay? Don't give the broadband area. So that's how you will answer in the exam or in the quiz. Okay. Now, we have an area known as the midbrain. You know, this is a very small area, even in the microscope, etc. But there are a lot of structures passing through this. That's why I need to discuss this. When you say the midbrain, it is made up of all of this. See, this is a very small area, but it is made up of the cerebellar peduncles. Just imagine, no? Ito yung na maraming cerebellar peduncles, the superior, middle, and inferior cerebellar peduncles, the tectum, the midbrain, the tectal area, the superior and inferior colliculi. You know, ito yun. There are two pairs of boobs on this particular area. Kasi dalawa siyang may bump. You call them your colliculus if it's singular, and you call them colliculi if it's plural. And when you cut through that area, you see this collection of dark structures. You call this your substantia nigra. And while this is not red, yan, no? Hindi naman sa pula talaga. Pagka hindi fresh yung structure, this is your red nuclei. So when you're asked as to the area of the midbrain, then this is the composition of the structures comprising the midbrain. So, if you're given a tract, it's called rubrospinal tract. Alam nyo, dadaan sa midbrain kasi yung rubro is red. So, ibig sabihin, nag-originate yung impulses ng tract na yon sa red nuclei of the midbrain. Okay. What else? Nigrostriatal tract. Eme nigra. Okay? So, alam nyo, nagsimula sa substantia nigra. Okay. Ano pang sample? Tectospinal tract. So, nagsimula sa tectum. Okay? So, more or less, you know the structures comprising. You'll hear much of this as you go through neuroanatomy. So, this is what I'm saying. What is the difference of the tectum and the tegmentum? Okay? The tegmentum is a covering. And this one, yeah, this covers this area. While the tectum is this one. I was telling you of the two pairs of boobs. on the midbrain. Ito yon. This is the superior and inferior colliculi. And there are a lot of tracts that would pass through this. Okay? So tectospinal tract, tectobulbar tract, and these are motor tract. Okay? Questions? You have any questions? Okay. Takes time to process. But like what I said, this is just an overview. Alright. I will be the one lecturing this. But I am already telling you now, this is a misnomer. What did I tell you? When you say ganglia, these are a collection of cell bodies. What? Outside of the central nervous system. But this is not true for the basal ganglia. Tingnan nyo ito. Okay. Ang mnemonic ng basal ganglia more or less is CPG. That's why in some books, this is not called basal ganglia. It's called the basal nuclei. Kasi look, it's within the central nervous system. It's within the brain. The mnemonic of the nuclei is what? CPG. Caudate nuclei, putamen, this is the caudate, the putamen, and the globus pallidus. Okay? This is the globus pallidus. Sorry, this one. Caudate nucleus. And this is the putamen, caudate nucleus, putamen, and globus pallidus, CPG. And these nuclei are within the central nervous system. That's why calling it basal ganglia in some of the books is actually a misnomer. It should be called basal nuclei. Alright? So I won't explain much of this. I will reiterate this during my lecture. Now, another important distinction or definition that you have to understand is when you say brainstem and bulbar region of the brain. Why? Because you have tracts, corticobulbar tract, tectobulbar tracts, etc. So where will it stop? So when you say brainstem, okay, it would comprise of the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla. Okay, this one. But when you say bulbar region of the brain, okay, it's the same composition as the brainstem plus the cerebellum. Okay? Again, brainstem, midbrain, pons, medulla. But bulbar region, the same as the brainstem composition plus the cerebellum. Yun. That's the distinction. That's why if it's an injury to the brainstem, you know what? Respiration is affected, everything is affected kasi may direct connection sa spinal cord. Okay? Questions? The discussion on the blood supply is very important. Why? Because these are the vessels that's affected in a stroke, in a cerebrovascular accident. So isipin nyo, kung na-compromise yung blood supply dito, anong parts of the brain yung affected? Okay. And there's a big focus on this. This is, ang tawag ko dito, this is the circle of Willis. Pero lagi kong sinasabi, it's the not so circle of Willis. Hindi naman kasi talaga siya bilog. This one. Okay? Later on, you realize the significance of this. The circle of Willis. Because this is compensatory. If the big vessel is affected, this will try to compensate for the areas. You will have discussions on this. That's why you have specific vessels like the anterior cerebral artery, the middle cerebral artery, and the posterior cerebral artery. Okay, and the blood supply is cut, what areas of the brain will be affected? So that's the way you should study that. Okay, you can be given this case. Look, this is a stroke involving this area. So if this is affected, what areas of the brain may not be profuse or may not be supplied with blood? E di itong area na sinusupply, ganun yung type of questioning. Okay? Just like this is a cross-section of the cord. If you look at this, most of it is supplied by this. Yung cross-section by this artery. But this area is supplied by the posterior one. Okay? So, if the anterior spinal artery, as in this case, is affected, this area will not be supplied by any blood. So, what will happen to the patient? That's how you correlate it. Okay. This is not a toy. This is the motor and sensory homunculus. Okay. Please understand this. I mentioned earlier on the precentral and postcentral gyrus. Ito yon. This is the primary motor cortex. This is the primary sensory cortex. And in this particular area or gyrus, the body parts are actually represented. Diba? That's why the neurologist would know, based on the patient's manifestation, would know where the lesion is coming from. Okay? Or what area is involved, what blood vessel may be involved. So for example, look at this. You know that this is the primary motor cortex. This is the representation of the body parts. And this is the representation of the body parts in the primary somatosensory or somesthetic gyrus. Okay? Tingnan ninyo. Pag mas malaki ang representation ng lips, di ba kasi maraming sensation ang lips? That is the primary sensory cortex. Okay. But look at the representation of the muscles of the parts of the body which are highly muscular. Okay? It's represented well on the primary motor cortex. But take a look at this. The lower limbs, the lower extremities are represented on the medial surface of the brain. Tingnan nyo ito, whether it is motor or sensory. Now, putting it on the representative figure of the homunculus, look, tingnan nyo yung distinction nitong nasa taas at saka nung nasa baba. You really know that this is motor and this is sensory. Why? Look at the lips of the representative figure. This very big here. Look at the muscles, the parts of the body which are highly muscular. It is well represented here. Okay. But why is it that when it comes to the face and the thoracic part of the body and the lower limbs, it is equally represented? Diba? Why? Because there are big sensory areas as well on the thorax, the face, and the lower limbs. Okay. I'll give you a sample. The precentral gyrus is supplied by the middle cerebral artery. lalo na yung the dorsolateral is mainly supplied by the middle cerebral artery, especially the dorsolateral surface of the brain. But the medial surface of the brain is supplied by the anterior cerebral artery. So, if you are given a case, okay, na if you are given a case where both the motor and the sensation is affected more of the upper limbs than the lower limbs, more or less, the idea is such that the middle cerebral artery is more affected than the anterior cerebral artery. Diba? Ulitin ko. Look at the representation. Diba? The upper limbs represented on the dorsolateral surface of the brain in both the primary motor cortex and the primary sensory cortex. Yung lower limbs nasa medial surface ng brain. Sabi ko, yung dorsolateral surface of the brain is primarily supplied by the middle cerebral artery. So kung nakat yung supply, nabarahan si middle cerebral artery, in the case of a stroke patient, alam ninyo na ang manifestation, tapos may weakness, pero mas weak yung upper extremities than the lower extremities, alam ninyo na ang mas nabara, tapos may loss of sensation, more of upper extremities than the lower extremities, you would know that the artery affected is primarily the middle cerebral artery. Kasi ang mas affected yung upper limbs than the lower limbs. I hope that is clear. Huh? Are you able to process that? Yes? I hope so. Diba? So, it is very important that you relate the knowledge to the area of the brain that is supplied and the function of that area. Okay? So, connect siya. It's not enough that you memorize the anatomy. It's not enough that you memorize, this is the blood supply. You have to know the area it supplies. You have to know the function of that area. Why is it din? No, I'm just giving you an idea. Right po yung affected na artery. Pero yung manifestation sa body, nasa kaliwa. Because perhaps the tract that is involved is a cross tract. Anong ibig sabihin ng cross tract? Tatawid siya sa kabila. Oo. It's a cross tract. Yan. Let me now introduce this. Look. This is a sensory tract. Bakit kaya? This is the sensory and this one. Okay? How would you know that is if it's a sensory tract or a motor tract? Somehow, the name of the tract will give you an idea. How? Most of the sensory tracts are ascending tracts. All motor tracts are descending tracts. Ulitin ko with no exception. All descending tracts, pababa, are motor tracts. Almost all ascending tracts are sensory tracts. O, take a look. This is the cortico-spinal tract. From the cortex of the brain to the spinal cord. So, cortex of the brain to the spinal cord. Is this ascending or descending? Put it on the chat box. Cortico-spinal tract. Ascending or descending? Okay. Very good. It is descending. Pababa. Oh, if you're asked, is this motor or sensory? I gave you the general principle. Very good. It's motor. Diba? So, alam nyo na yung function. Eh di dapat, kung alam nyo yun, alam nyo kung anong maa-affect. Movement. Right? So, if you're given a name, cortico, bulbar tract, sensory or motor? Cortico, bulbar tract, sensory or motor? Motor. O, next. This is, oh, wait. Look at what happened to the corticospinal tract. It starts on one side and then it eventually decussates or cross. Ayan ha, I am introducing another term. Pag sinabing it decussates, it means that it crossed on the other side. That's why somehow the artery that was affected is on the right side. But why is it that the manifestation of the weakness or the paralysis is on the left side? Because the affected tract is crossed. That is the reason for that. Okay. Now, this is the anterior spinothalamic tract. Spinothalamic. This is the thalamus. Nandun na halos papuntang cerebral cortex. Okay. Spinal cord to the thalamus. Is this ascending or descending? Spinothalamic. It is ascending. Is that sensory or motor? Based on what I said earlier. Very good. It is sensory. So that's a general principle. So more or less, given the name of the tract, gives you an idea as to whether it's sensory or motor. Okay. I am simply showing you the difference in the manifestation when it's upper motor neuron lesion or lower motor. But I will not explain much of this. But later, when I integrate, if this is not integrated on the lecture of the corticospinal tract, I will integrate this. Okay? I will be the one giving you the integration lecture in the face-to-face so that you can integrate all your lectures. Okay? It will be added. I am willing to do that. Hoping that, of course, it will help you on your 6th LE. Okay, let us check on this. I already asked this. Corticospinal tract. What is this? Motor or sensory? Just a review. Very good. Motor. Spinothalamic. Sensory. Corticobulbar. Motor. Tectospinal. Tectospinal. Alalahanin nyo. Nasa ng tectum. Very good. Motor. Very good. Okay? So I hope you keep that general principle in mind. Yan. Of course, eventually you have lectures on the special senses. Bakit ba this side is affected? Why is it that when you shine a light on the right pupil, di ba ginagawa to, no? You shine a light on your right pupil, nagko-constrict yung pupil sa kanan, nagko-constrict din dun sa kaliwa. Uy, walang nag-shine ng light sa right pupil. Ayan, no? If you shine a light on the left pupil, there will also be constriction on the right pupil. Why is it? That will be explained as well. Because if you shine a light on the left pupil, tapos walang nangyari sa right pupil, there is a problem. That's why when you rush a patient at the emergency room and tumaas yung blood pressure, tapos unconscious yung patient somehow, they initially check on what? The pupillary light reflex. There is an explanation to that. Another thing, why is it that when you go inside a theater or a dark room, what initially happens to you? Maliwanag ba yung tingin nyo o malabo? Pagpasok nyo agad, galing kayo sa maliwanag na area. Pumasok kayo sa sinehan, sa movie house. Initially ba malinaw o malabo? Anyone? O sanay lang kayo sa dilim? Ano? Initially, pagpasok ninyo, malabo. Kasi ang initial effect, pag umasok kayo from maliwanag to madilim, nagdadilate yung pupils nyo. Yeah. Pag natatakot kayo, when you're scared, yeah, we will explain that. When you're scared, na-realize nyo ba yun? Pag natatakot kayo, ano yung initial reaction? Madilim yung tingin nyo, maliwanag. Yung mga natakot na. Pag natatakot po ako sa exam, ano po, pag nandyan na yung questionnaire, tapos natatakot kayo, initially ba maliwanag o madilim? Very good. Madilim. Kasi bakit? Hindi dahil ayaw yung tignan. Because when you're scared, there's pupillary dilatation agad. Alam nyo, kahit na, di ba, natakot kayo, horror movie siya. Yung reflex na ang ginagawa ninyo, tatakpan niyo yung mata nyo. There's an explanation. That's a reflex. Kaya hindi yun deliberate. Minsan, ang bilis ng reaction nyo. Nakita kayo, natatakot kayo. Tatakpan niyo yung mata nyo. Oh, that's a reflex. And there's an explanation to that. And you will be able to study that. And of course, finally, you will be able to study the pathway of language. How speech is produced, how something that is heard is processed, how something that is read is processed. Di ba, bakit ganun kayo magbasa? From left to right. Hindi naman siguro from bottom up. Okay, you tend to choose sometimes when you read. But you usually read from left to right. Wala pa ako nakita na nagbasa simula sa kanan, pakaliwa. Okay, that is a gift kung from right to left kayo magbasa. Or there might be something wrong. Okay, you'll be able to study that. And what is the area that's affected when there's a problem with motor and comprehension? Ibig sabihin, na-affect yung production ng speech and yung understanding ng speech. Okay? So, that's about it. That's the overview of the whole of what will happen, of course, in the neuroanatomy system, which is also an integration of everything, especially on innervation, of what you have studied from all the systems from first sem to the second sem. Okay? So the things that you will be able to understand. And simply walking, being able to walk, you will also appreciate. The body is intrinsically designed by our good Lord that impulses would simply transfer from one area to another and will reach the brain that fast. Diba? Bakit gaya pag gumalaw kayo, very smooth. Walang, diba, you try to reach for something, hindi gumagalaw na, diba? Very swift. Why is it like that? So, you will be able to appreciate that in neuroanatomy. Okay. And you will be able to understand that even simple processes in the body, like being able to taste, etc., is also very coordinated in the nervous system. So do you have any questions? Meron ba kayong tanong? Well, I would want to say that neuroanatomy is easy. Di ba laging sa akin narinig, madali lang yan. Okay. Well, there are challenges in understanding neuroanatomy. Why? It takes one, it takes a good understanding of the parts, its function, and maraming imagination. Kasi paano kaya yun? And if you will be very, very just anatomical, it will be very difficult. Di ba? Di ba? Paano kaya? Parang ang bilis ko naman gumalaw. Pero ganun katagal bago mapunta yung impulses. Because mabilis siya. Okay? And it takes a lot of understanding in neuroanatomy. You have any questions? You'd realize that I'll be putting a lot of, favorite ko kasi yung 3-minute videos when it comes to neuroanatomy. So I'll be putting up access to these videos na drawing, etc. And I hope you will be able to access them before any lectures para you have, that's the only way. Bago may lecture, you browse through short videos para may idea na kayo doon sa track. Okay? That's the only way to really understand neuroanatomy and of course, pass the 6 long exam. And prepare partly for the final exam. Okay? So this is all integration. Do you have any other questions? Please wait for the updated schedule. Okay? Uh, we are of course maximizing uh, yung inyong face-to-face. Para makatulong din kami dun sa travel, dun sa overall expense. Okay? Pero again, resist the urge na maipon yung papanoorin ninyo ha. Lumayo-layo kayo dun sa kama ninyo kapag nag-online kayo. Okay? Lumayo-layo kayo. Kasi baka mapunta kayo kung saan. Kaya wala na kayo dito at hindi ko na kayo nakikita. Kasi napunta na kayo. Tinawag na kayo ng higaan ninyo. Okay? And please, even when it's pre-recorded, recordings are uploaded, huwag nyo siyang ipunin. View it at the time that it's, kasi otherwise, ang medyo, sinabi nyo, ay, papanoorin ko na. Magre-rest lang ako. 30 minutes, naging 1 hour na. Okay? Naging super rest na. But we do understand that. The challenge of online. Okay? So, if you do not have any more questions, we wish you really well. Malapit na tayong matapos for academic year 2025-2026. Okay? Kaya pa. Laban pa. Oo, sabi nga nila. Okay? Any questions from the officers of the class? Meron pa ba? Wala na? Alright. If none, let us end with a prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit.